Everybody, Matt Gary here for the Geek Cast on this Monday evening. With me tonight, he's back. He returneth, my co-host, Peter Ray Allison.
Hey, June, how's everyone doing?
Do you want to try that again, Pete?
Yeah, sorry, I do. How are you doing, everyone? It's good to be here.
Are you still suffering from Sci-Fi Week?
I am indeed. It was a very good weekend.
And as always, quiz master extraordinaire and other co-host, Jonjo Cosgrove.
I just noticed you muted me. I was like, what? Why's that come up? What have I done? I thought, oh, actually, no, there might be a list of things, possibly. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yes.
We've got to have a great start, haven't we? This is what professionalism is.
Yes, exactly. So we were meant to have some guests tonight. They may or may not pop in. I guess we'll just leave it as a surprise if they do or do not pop in. But they are current radio silence, but we'll see what happens. So if there has to be some frantic screen changes halfway through the podcast, then you know why. But for the time being, you've got our three ugly mugs. Well,
speak for yourself, Matt. I look perfectly great.
I am the peak of perfection.
Or if you're just listening to us, you've got the dulcet tones here. Trey and Abbott in the morning nights. So now, as the title suggests, all roads lead to Sci-Fi Weekender, especially on this podcast. Pete has just returned.
Yes.
So I guess he's going to give us a bit of a rundown before we go through some other bits and pieces. So Pete, Sci-Fi Weekender, how was it? What did you get up to?
Okay. I mean, I've been going to Sci-Fi Weekender for over 10 years. So some might say it's a routine. It's like just another year. But to be fair, this has been the best Sci-Fi Weekender yet. My review's up on the website. Check it out. But yeah, it's Sci-Fi Weekend. It's good. I mean, I should kind of preface by this side. Sci-Fi Weekender is not a convention in the typical sense. It has all the panels, the interviews, the costumes, and the guests that you would see at a convention. Except that this keeps going into the night. But you don't have guests, you don't have panels, you have parties, you have bands, you have comedians, you have performances. And it is just basically 3 day. Well, it starts off 2 day, now it's kind of almost 3 to 4 day festival of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And it is an absolute blast, based on pretty much the most remote holiday camp they can find, seemingly, Great Yarmouth.
Which
becomes known as Space Butlins by anyone there. And yeah, basically loads of caravans, really comfy, and then just go into the main area, like the venue itself, where you kind of got the entertainment, so to speak. And you've got like sort of 3 main areas. You've got the main void, which is where all the main panels and talks are. Then you've got the spaceport, which is where all kind of the smaller stuff, such as author talks and like comedians. And then you also got a third part which they added for this year, which was the game zone. I think they call it holodeck this time, where you had like a complete retro gaming section, board gaming section, which is great, staffed by Gavin as Modi team, and also had Life Size DnD, which is basically, as the name implies, a life-size version of D. Bit more than tabletop, less than a LARP, sort of in that middle ground between the two areas. And you also had a kind of cosplay, so you had like Tabitha Lyons, Artifacts there.
Oh, I saw she was there, yeah.
Yeah, she had a blast. I had a good chat with her while she was setting up on the Friday. And yeah, it's been great. I mean, I was doing some of the panels. I did like the horror panel, and did some interviews about traditional versus independent publishing. And yeah, it's just great fun. I mean, it's a lot of community, a lot of atmosphere, and basically people go there because it's there to celebrate fantasy and science fiction and horror in all its forms, whatever the medium, be it gaming, be it film, be it television, be it books. It's just like, are you a geek? Yeah, then you're welcome. And you kind of got Area 51 there as well. They can do all these fantastic costumes and cosplays, and they're performance troops. So you kind of got dancers and performers. We've got stilt walkers and fire performers. Not so much in the main void where it's got a very low ceiling, but they can add an element to the fantastical, and that basically there being that kind of almost creates a feedback loop where basically people therefore want to dress up in their own costumes to kind of add to it, and you get this kind of carnival-esque atmosphere going on. So it's a load of fun, a lot of fun. The only downside is it's in Great Yarmouth, which is that out the way for everyone. That used to live in Great Yarmouth.
It takes you about 5 hours from Manchester to get to Great Yarmouth.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, people travel from Scotland, Belgium, Wales. So I mean, people are willing to travel that far because it is such a good event.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, come along. It'll be
what guests who have been on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure we've covered every Sci-Fi Weekender guest that have ever existed.
That's the thing. I mean, this kind of leans into why I like Sci-Fi Weekender so much. Is there's a very little barrier between guests and attendees. And I'm going to completely blank on names because I'm useless when it comes to names, but I get to know people from going to Sci-Fi Weekend and interviewing them and chatting to them. And you just kind of like, because there's very little kind of barrier between, there's no kind of segregation at all. Like, no, we go to the same bar, we go to the same toilets, we watch the same stuff. You end up standing next to or chatting to what are provisionally the special guests. I mean, they've had Neil Marshall there last year. This year they had Carolyn Smith, who played Abby Grant in the original Survivors. They've had the author Cece Adams, who you might remember, Matt. You've also got Sam Stone, Sam Howe, Raven Dane. The lead guests, the lead actors in Neverending Story were there.
Really?
Yeah. They've aged a bit since then. They played like the princess and not Arfax, the young boy. Atreus, yes. Yeah, they had them from Neverending Story there.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I mean, like, they're getting recognition, they're getting recognized, but they don't choose guests for want of a better term, prestige or draw. They choose guests for how well they interact with others and how well they kind of are willing to kind of join in the shenanigans. I mean, they want people that kind of will engage with everyone, that will kind of chat back and have fun rather than just sit there, sign the autographs and then just leave. They don't want that sort of business side of it. They just want the interaction, the human element.
One of these days, Pete. One of these days, I'll go.
Absolutely, yeah, it's well worth it. I mean,
one of these days. I keep on saying it. I say it to the other guests, like, one of these days. It is literally that 5 hour. Like, I'm driving to Scotland on Friday, and it will take me less time driving to Scotland and then over to Northern Ireland than it does to get to Great Yarmouth. Yeah, it is.
But to be fair, Matt, you do live near the Scottish border, so you know.
Nearer than the rest of us.
Yeah, well, but I'm talking about getting to Stranraer Cairn Ryan. So you're going up. So yeah, getting up to what's it called? I was going to say Cornwall. That's in the complete opposite direction. What's the? Oh my God! The name of the city on the.
Please don't ever let me be in the car with you.
The name of the city and the. Oh my God. On the border with Scotland, my head's just completely gone.
Anyway, I'm just saying to get the Scottish border.
No, tell me the name of the city, the main city.
Glasgow, Edinburgh,
Cumbria. Oh God. Yes. Okay. So Cumbria. So you're up there, and that probably takes about an hour. Maybe.
See, an hour from the Scottish border.
Yeah, but
it.
Yes, but then it takes you it takes me 4.5 hours to get to Stranraer, or Cairn Ryan, because as soon as you hit Dumfries, you're on this like windy single road things. There's no motorway and stuff. So it's
actually, Matt, jumping topic slightly, have you played Atomfall?
No, but I've seen a lot of the
Because that's set in that area. I've been playing it, and for me, I've been to Lake District a fair bit. I was married there with Kalia, and they've nailed the geography and atmosphere of Cumbria and Lake District brilliantly.
I've seen some of the Easter eggs. There's a Mr. Bean. There's a Mr. Bean.
There's a Mr. Bean one,
and there's a Doctor Who one. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Last of Summer Wine reference as well.
Oh right. Okay. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. You come across like this bathtub with these two men sitting in it.
Oh right. Okay.
And like, okay, right, I recognize that one. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Is it brilliant? No. Is it perfect? No, it's not. Absolutely not. The combat system is a bit janky. The stealth is a bit. Basically, when someone spots you, they all spot you. That's but the setting atmosphere is perfect. And I mean, to be fair, no game is perfect.
No, but I've got to give that a go at some point. I'll definitely.
It's free on Game Pass, so I mean.
But the problem is as I've mentioned a few times before, the backlog of games is I've got so many games on my list that are like either partway through or not even opened, and I feel bad if I buy more.
Well, I've not bought it. I mean, to be fair, I started playing Stalker, and I enjoyed it. I mean, Stalker 2, I should say. That's a really good game. Again, for me, the big draw is always the atmosphere and the setting. Do I feel immersed in it? Does it feel like a living, breathing environment? And again, like Atomfall, Stalker 2 absolutely nails it. And again, it's in some ways, Atomfall is basically a UK version of Stalker.
I can see that. Yeah.
Exclusion Zone, nuclear disaster. I mean, the entire premise of Atomfall is that the wind scale event did happen in the 50s. It is the UK's largest nuclear disaster. Now, the whole kind of monsters and weird stuff going on, that is inspiration for the game, but the core idea of it is bang on. Yeah, it happened. And I didn't know about it until I played Atomfall and started looking into wind scale and thought, oh, actually, this thing did happen, and how it happened, and what do we learn from it? I mean, basically, it came down to an emergency happened, and people was going just by the book, but the book hadn't prepared for this eventuality. So what we learned from this was you have disaster management scenarios, you have disaster training to how to react to a disaster situation in such a way that you're prepared for it.
It's good as well when people say video games no good for you, but that was educational as well. So
yeah, I mean, people learn from it. I mean, I would say, should you trust video games completely? No, because Atomfall also has weird monsters in it, and that did not happen at the Windscale disaster. But when you take elements of history and entwine into the plot, great. It's happened quite a few times. I mean, look at the basic idea of. Well, look at the historical immersion elements of the Assassin's Creed games. Now, they are not. I would completely agree with that. They're not flawless.
Pete, can you turn the gain slightly down on your microphone because you're popping quite a lot, or just push it away slightly?
It's just powerful.
Yeah, super powerful.
Sorry, but how'd that sound, Matt?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah. And basically, when you kind of got Assassin's Creed, now they're not flawless immersions, but they give you a great idea what life was like in those different times. And yeah, there's loads of instances where games have kind of really leaned into the historical or the cultural elements to tell a new and different story. And that is what sells the game. I don't want Call of Duty code. I don't want Medal of Honor code. I don't want GTA code. Tell me a good story. And if you can, bring in some real world elements to just add a little kind of cultural touchstone.
But bringing us back, it's not Cumbria. I knew it was. I was sitting there. Cumbria is the area. Carlisle's the name of the city. It's two and a half. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes from my house to Carlisle. Now I'm just want to see, right? So because it looks about the same distance to Great Yarmouth. Great Yarmouth. Great Yarmouth is about 50 miles more. And it takes 2 hours extra for 50 miles.
There's a long 50 miles, trust me. And they're worth it.
That's a great yarn with 50 miles.
To be fair, I mean, yeah, it's just great. The nature of the beast. But I will argue it's worth it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
absolutely
Like I
worth it.
don't. To be fair, in the grand scheme of things,
You travelled. How far did you travel for, say, San Diego Comic Con?
Again, I don't have a massive issue with driving because I stick on. It's a good thing. It's sticking on audiobooks and stuff, especially if I'm on my own. I enjoy a good on my own drive, like going down to sort of Birmingham for like UK Games Expo and stuff. It's great, not only just for the expo, but before I've got a good sort of hour and a half's worth of audiobook time there and audiobook time back, and I get to sort of immerse myself, because at the minute generally I'm either driving with my kid and my missus, and it's just like them yabbering away and wanting K-pop and things like that, and I don't get to listen to my my audiobooks and stuff like that. If I am on my own, it's just like 5-10 minutes to the shops and stuff, so I just want my time for my audiobook. So a long drive isn't the end of the world for me. So yeah.
I know where you're coming from. I mean, I like podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts, including the Geek Pride podcast, which everyone should do. But I don't always get the chance when I've got family in the car, because I should say they don't want to listen to podcasts. They want to listen to K-pop or daddy's music, as they call it. Or I don't want to listen to talking, as my youngest puts it. But yeah, you find, again, a long drive is an ideal time for just kind of put on a podcast, ease back, and start driving.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So guests wise, who was there that we've had on the podcast?
Hang on, we have got Gary from. Yes, they are literally about to join us right now.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go. I will try and move things around.
That sounds like, when you're on one of them chat shows, and now we have Gary from such such. Gary, you're on the line. He's here.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Gary is on the line.
I am.
Hello,
yes,
Gary.
I came back very late from a meeting with the British Army.
So, okay, I think that's a good excuse. We'll give you that one.
Okay.
If I get in trouble, they shoot me. No, I'm only joking.
Yeah. Was the meeting with British Army related to Life Size DnD?
No, we're my company is the British engagement partner for the British Army. So we have a whole suite of capabilities that we supply for them, including tank simulators, motion racing simulators. We have a mobile engagement capabilities. We take like Silverstone and Brands Hatch and Donington and Alton Park, that sort of thing. So
interesting.
It's one of the other sides of Fraggers outside of Life Size Dungeons and Dragons. But
okay, well, this kind of leads into the next question. Like, no, well, not we do the introduction start, but we'll just do it right here. Gary, who are you? What do you do? What's your thing?
So I'm Gary Curby. I'm the founder and managing director of Fraggers, which is kind of there. Creator of Rapture Gaming Festival and Life Size Dungeons and Dragons, which obviously is most salient for this conversation. Yeah.
And I saw Life Size. Well, I played Life Size DnD at Sci-Fi Weekender, and for me, from my perspective, it was one of the highlights of the weekend. It was. I've not done anything like it before. It was completely new to Sci-Fi Weekender, and it was new, it was different, and it was a lot of fun. And it's in this whole weird middle ground between tabletop role playing and LARP, but without being either. How would you describe it?
So, well, I mean, I created Life Size Dungeons and Dragons a couple of years ago as like a 50th birthday present to myself. Basically, I've been DMing for I don't know, over 38 years. I've been DMing, I think.
What's your longest campaign?
My longest campaign was actually an Ars Magica campaign, not Dungeons and Dragons, and that was 7 years, I think.
Ars Magica is a very good game.
Ars Magica is the best system. However, as I've got older, I've found that Dungeons and Dragons for me is like a warm, homely place to be. And even though it's not the best system in the world, I find that it's, especially when I'm doing it online, D&D for me is just like a safe space to go to when I'm doing D&D. So when I'm role playing, sorry. And especially with online tools now, I mean, I started loads of online campaigns during the pandemic, mostly as a mental health support for some of my friends who were going for some pretty tough times. And they said, you know, can you not just start doing some Dungeons and Dragons like you used to when we were at uni 100 years ago, that sort of thing. And I was like, well, yes, of course, I have my groups that I do face to face, but you know, the online stuff really took off, and I have this whole production thing I do now for the online campaigns. So yeah, so obviously Dungeons and Dragons role play in general is really, really close to my heart. Has always been. It's therapeutic. It's social. It helps me to cope with life. Even though I'm supposed to be this, you know, owner of this big company that, you know, I'm involved in all these big meetings with these people. At the end of the day, sometimes you need to be able to just unwind. And it's like yesterday, I did a campaign where it was a teenage drama in a college. And the players had to just try and go through all of the social dynamics of all the different cliques from the elite clique groups and the boffins and the jocks, and they had to try and unravel, you know, who was actually like feeding a vampire young teenage kids. But anyway, you know, it's a special place for me. And so when I was turning 50, I'd always thought about, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to take what we do on a tabletop and also mixing it in with things that I really love. I used to love LARPing a long time ago. However, I find it quite intimidating now to do LARPing. I get a bit. It's something that demands a lot from you, and also it's not particularly inclusive at times. LARPing, as wonderful as it is, it can be quite overwhelming for a lot of people. I love the systemization of Dungeons and Dragons on a tabletop. Manifesting, you know, with systems and dice rolls and you know non-contact, and then obviously I love escape rooms and things like that. And I thought, why don't I just throw that all in a big box together and imagine if we actually had the most important bit, which is the interaction between dungeon masters and players, but also factor in they're in costumes, they have sets around them, they have props, there's lighting, there's sound, there's monsters that are as life size as I can make them without having to have the budget of a small B movie. And I put it all together really for the Rapture Gaming Festival at Medway a couple of years ago, just as a trial. We actually used a lot of set extras from Call the Midwife. So I was the festival director for 5 years at Medway Gaming Festival, which is a subset of Rapture Gaming Festival. And it's where they film Call the Midwife. And I was going through one of their warehouses. They just had loads of this set stuff and barrels and chests. And, you know, there's even coffins there. One of them was a coffin of one of the famous characters that died and had this huge funeral. And I was like, I could use all this and I could get some costumes in and we can get some props and, you know, I'll get some massive dice. And I started off with inflatable dice, but then we switched to custom made dice after they started blowing away in the wind. And we just did this PvP thing to start with, and it was just we had two teams. I created some really simplified versions of the character sheets. I've got some in here. You can't probably not see it, but I created some really simple concept, low level characters. Really stripped it back, and we just had two teams playing against each other, and the response was insane. And I was just like, wow. So then MCM contacted me and said, we just seen what you did at Rapture. Wow. Can you bring it to MCM Comic-Con? And we were like, of course we can. And we do a lot of stuff for MCM Comic-Con. So this isn't just out of the blue. My company supports a lot of Comic-Cons, gaming events, sports events in the UK and abroad. And so we already have a reputation. We already have relationships with all these people. And even like Sci-Fi Weekender, we've been to there years ago with like with our old Asus ROG bus, one of the previous ones. So I own a whole fleet of double-decker buses. I've had the Razor bus, the game buses for the game launches. You would have seen when Final Fantasy came out, we had the Final Fantasy bus, and we traveled around doing the launches for that. Fragus does loads of that sort of cool stuff on a day-to-day basis. The Life Size D&D was kind of like, well, this is my thing, but I want this to become everybody's thing. So then I was like, how do I make it PvE? So I was like, right, okay, giant characters. Okay, I'll print loads of massive ones of those. And I created this whole kind of module for it using marquees. I was hell-bent on having a big, like 3 meter plus dragon arch, just like the old TV show in the 80s. So you won't have seen that unless you've seen it at MCM or Insomnia or something like that, because we couldn't fit it into the Sci-Fi Weekender. It was too big. We have got a material one, a smaller one, and we kind of draped that to create a faux entrance. But that was the first time we hadn't used our standard setup with the big marquees that people walk into. But if any of your listeners have been to MCM Comic Con, you would have seen it there, except for the fact that the queues form it instantly and it books up about 5 minutes after the doors open every single day.
Wow.
It's so popular. But yeah, so we created it, and it was really, really popular. I mean, it was voted the #1 activity at MCM Comic Con in 2023 across all of their shows, both London and Birmingham. And now we're contracted in with the MCM to be at every single show. It's a given, basically, because it's so popular. And then we even expanded it out to having we actually set it up in Cyprus as well.
Wow.
So and I was supposed to be, I don't know if you Pete, I don't know if you saw my talk during the Sci-Fi Weekend. I was doing a whole gaming culture on the main stage, talking about my main day job stuff, which is video gaming and working with publishers and stuff. But so we launched in Cyprus anyway last year. That was phenomenally successful. It was wonderful because in Cyprus they speak English mostly, so that really helped with my DMs flying over there. But there's a whole module out there now. We created all new monsters and new scenarios for it. So we got Medusas and Minotaurs, and the Minotaurs now my coolest character. Though we are doing a really cool new thing for this year, which I haven't launched yet. But and I was supposed to be launching into America this year as well. So I'd already been talking to Reed Pop about taking it to the US, and then the US turned into Satan, and I don't want to go there anymore. So
they're slightly self-imploding right now.
Yeah, it is. So my view was I just don't want to touch that. I don't want to send staff out there and then find that somehow they're illegal immigrants or something and they get banged up just when they're just trying to do some Dungeons and Dragons. It's too scary. Yeah. I don't need it. I don't want it right now. So maybe next year, maybe 2026. I mean, they already have some similar things over there, but I found out they had one there already. It goes to like PAX and stuff, but it's more like full-on escape room. There's no dungeon masters. There's no rolling dice. They had these things with these massive, ridiculously expensive sets and animatronic dragons. And I'm like, well, that's cool. But then everything's monetized down to microtransactions. You have to buy these tokens to get into each room, and then you have to pay money for these things, spells you can take away. And I was like, that is so commercialized. That's not what I want. I mean,
what really impressed me about Life Size D&D was the DM. I think Ricky was one of them as well.
Yeah.
You all kind of adapted the scenario to suit the players based on their experiences. So when me and my friends did it, you knew instantly we knew what we were doing. We'd played D&D before. We knew the rituals and the routes, so to speak. And just kind of, you bunch of murder hobos, kill the monsters, loot the bodies, on to the next one. And you kind of leaned into that sort of meta-referential humor. But then when some people hadn't played D&D before, and you kind of just made it that much more accessible, you kind of just leverage the story to suit the players, to the point when I think one of my friends, Heidi, they'd come dressed as their character, this druid character. They really want to play a druid. And they went, okay, we don't have a pre-generated character. Use this ranger character sheet, remove that bow and arrow, and just have use your spells instead from the app, and we'll wing it. And you did, and my friend was happy, and it was great. And the fact you can flex, you have that flex in the storytelling, and this DM to kind of not be delineated into a very specific player level, player expectation or story expectation. You can just make it. There's a lot you can do in that space.
Yeah, well, it was important to me that that DM player interaction was sacrosanct, no matter what we did, because as you know from playing or any form of roleplay really, is that symbiotic relationship between DM and player is what creates all the magic, the real magic, the stories that you create together, the scenarios that you get in. And that's, when I do one with my youngest son, who's only 12, and then I also do a campaign with my older kids who are 28 and 25, And I mean, obviously, when I'm doing one with those, it's all very tailored around simple moral stories and simplified, dilemmas and combat. And then that translated well into D&D, because we found loads of families wanting to get involved, and they come up and they say, well, we've never played Dungeons and Dragons, we don't know what it's about, but this looks cool. And to an absolute group, they always come away going, we've got to play Dungeons and Dragons, this is amazing, this was so much fun. And I mean, the amount of feedback we had, I did send it on to Hasbro, because I had spoken to Wizards of the Coast about this when I first started it. We can't call it D&D. We're not licensed by them. We don't, effectively SRD licensing and OGL, whatever. But so we're very careful. It's an eagle bear, it's not an owl bear.
Similar to, but legally distinct from.
Yeah. That's why we have to get rid of the ampersand. All the silly things. But funny enough, I think Chris Perkins and that was at MCM, and I got them to sign my books, and I really missed an opportunity to talk to him about it. But I had talked to Wizards of the Coast about it. They've been and had a go. Some of the team from the UK went and played on it and said it was absolutely fantastic. They said there was something in America that was slightly similar, but it didn't have the pure elements of D&D, and that we should really be pushing it hard into America and Europe. That was from them. So because obviously I'm keeping clean on the licensing, and we're just using it really as a loose framework. You could probably rip out the D&D bits and just keep it super generic. You call it a Pathfinder, call it whatever you want, but it's yes, there's some 20-sided dice involved, but no one owns the ability to roll a D20. It's not a D20 system.
As I understand, the mechanics cannot be copyrighted, but the monsters, the titles, the names can be. So as long as you kind of stick to the rules, you're golden.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. I mean, and we try and keep it super generic. That's why we don't use actual character sheets. We use our own ones. Of course, they have the same stats, but they can be taken from 3.5. It can be taken from second edition. Actually, it wouldn't be second edition because it'd be THACO. But still.
No, Thaco still gives me nightmares.
Yeah, it's not as bad as doing Rollmaster, where you have tables and charts for everything, or Rune Quests, where anyway, those old D10 days. But yeah, so that has been the greatest thing for me, I think, is just seeing families doing it who've no understanding of Dungeons and Dragons. Just their kids get to put some cool costumes on. They're rolling some giant dice. We're putting on some silly voices, and it's just a little bit of play acting and drama, and it's safe. It doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair. It doesn't matter if you have social anxieties. It's in an enclosed space where everybody is very friendly and very kind, and it's non-contact. That's super critical, because obviously the thing with LARPing is, big latex weapons smashing the crap out of each other. It's great for the certain type of person that really attracts. And I know that they've got really good at these days of doing stuff for kids as well, like little kid quests at LARPing activity, but it's still very physical. And that excludes a lot of people for a multitude of reasons.
I find LARPing is great for a specific age group, normally in the 20s, 30s. But now I'm 50 next month, and I don't bounce as well as I used to.
I don't either. Yeah, I've got a couple of years on you, but I did LARPing in my 20s, and I think it was actually only in my 20s. I think by the time I was 30, I had 2 kids and was probably too busy and had a career. And
kids get in the way.
Yeah, kids get in the way. But as awesome as they are. But in fact, actually, it was having my surprise child that got me to leave.
The surprise child.
Ta-da!
I'm a surprise child.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say I'd made sure that I shouldn't have had any more. It was an EastEnders moment.
What are you doing here?
And everyone's going, wait, what? And I'm like, I'm traveling all over the world working for Cambridge University. What am I supposed to do? So I started Fraggers, and it exploded, like crazy. So follow your dreams, everybody.
It always reminds me, my brother was winding me up once, and he was like, "Oh, you're a mistake. And my dad turned around and went, because there's only about a year and a half between me and my brother, and he said, "Do you think that we wanted to have another child so quickly after him?" And he just went, And it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, we're all happy mistakes. That's chaos theory, I guess, in the nutshell. But so bringing it back into Life Size DnD again. So we are looking to expand still. We have done Cyprus. We're not doing America now. We are bringing out a new Egyptian theme this year. So we've got the artists designing all of the monsters and the new scenery, and there'll be a new like big entrance that we're going to be making for it. And I honestly don't make a lot of money out of it. It's not like, it's more of like a side project. Yeah, and I enjoy it, and we try to do it in the cleverest way we can. So normally it's either done pay and play at smaller events, or at the larger events like at MCM. Then they pay for it so that it's free to the audience, and that works really, really well. We try to keep the charges down. I mean, even at like a Sci-Fi Weekender, some of them were saying to us, we'd have paid more. Because I know they were worried, they were excited and worried because like they've never charged for content before, and I'm like, well, this is a premium experience involving actors and the whole sets and stuff. This isn't really part of the initial ticket pricing for that event, so people can choose not to do it. They can choose not to do it. They can still come along, take some photos, and put some costumes on. That doesn't matter. You can do that without having to pay. But obviously, it's expensive to run the Life Size DnD, so. But I love it too much to stop it. I just love it so much.
The impression I got from talking to people at Sci-Fi Weekender was that, it was great. They didn't mind paying the extra £10 to play, because as far as they all felt, it was a worthwhile investment. They already paid to be there for that initial fee, and just £10 was like almost akin to going for a drink. But instead of going for a drink,
I was going to say, I'm not sure how expensive it is in Great Yarmouth, but you're in sort of that sort of south area of the country, southeast area of the country. That's a pint, £10.
It definitely is. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I don't drink, so I can't even remember. It was £1 a pint, I think, when I used to drink, but which was a while ago. But it's always difficult because I want everyone to play it. Because obviously this is like a passion project for me, and it's sharing my passion with other people. I mean, I don't even really do much of the DMing myself anymore in those. In fact, they all say I'm rubbish at it because I've got no stamina. Because it is one of the things I have discovered is it's a very different skill. It's far more performative, even than normal DMing is. With normal DMing, you're thinking about long-term narrative change. You're trying to make sure every single character feels special over multiple sessions. With the Life Size DnD, I try to set it as a 30-minute encounter that gives you a chance to get into character, form a party, go through some dilemmas, find some traps, do some combat, maybe buy some potions from Albert's Apothecary, which was actually from one of my campaigns that my players took to it. I didn't even know they'd done it. I turned up to one of the sessions at MCM and I was like, oh, there's an apothecary. What's this doing here? It's like, oh, we've done one of your ones from the campaign. It's Albert. And I was quite chuffed with that. I was like, oh, bless you. It tries to fit that all into 30 minutes. We have a plan. I have been talking to some castles about taking the short form Factor of the Life Size Dungeons and Dragons and turning it into a long form experience over multiple days.
Interesting.
So you would go like a residential, a bit like D&D in a castle, but D&D in a castle, you're basically doing a sat down tabletop experience. Yeah. In there, but then there's also some other bits going on, and there might be some outside activities,
and it costs a small fortune.
It is insane.
Yeah,
expensive. Yeah, I mean, I was plotting it out, and I was like, how do I get my costs to be that expensive? I mean, how do I? Unless I just want to become a millionaire immediately.
I was trying to figure out. I'm not sure. Does it cost that much? Just for the game, or is that sort of including people flying over? But like, I was looking at the prices and I was like, wait a minute. So like, this is like
thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yeah, I was just like, I'd love to do it, but it's just like, I don't know if I want to.
I'm organising. I'm involved in D&D at Alverson Castle in Derbyshire. One of the DMs for the first few games. I can't make the next one in May because it's my daughter's birthday, but. The approximate charge for D&D at Alverson Castle is £50 for a day of gaming.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
That is reasonable.
Not now, 800, 900
as I understand it, a lot of that charge, and please don't quote me, it's just from my inference and observations, is that the license fee are being explicitly D&D rather than the other events, which are D&D.
Right.
Yeah. Also, they have a lot of special guests, don't they?
Exactly. They've got, they've got have one of the prestige DMs. I mean, to be fair, D&D the Castle has me, so what more could anyone want?
Of course, Pete. Of course.
No, seriously though, I mean, but yeah, they have kind of got people like, is it Matt Mercer? At them, so kind of which costs extra money, and there's a kind of
Mark Meir always does it in
prestige element. There's a prestige element there at play.
Yeah, Julie D's done it a few times, though she refuses to do it anymore. But yeah, there's some really good DMs there. And obviously there's a lot more cost on it, and it's a US based thing that they fly over to the UK to do, and most of the audience is American, I think, and they fly it to the UK. So all respect to it, I think it's a great event. And but I was trying to find something like, well, what happens if, because I got married in a castle, Hedingham Castle, full Tudor outfits, everyone was in costume, full bard. I was actually quite lucky because they were doing a medieval display the next day. I didn't even know about it. Wow. So they phoned me up the week of the wedding and said, we've got to set this medieval village up. Do you mind if we set the medieval village up before your wedding? I'm like,
yes.
Sure. And then they phone me up again and they go, we've got the falconry display coming, but they need to settle the birds in. Is it okay if that we have the falconry display? And I'm like, so. By the time it gets to the wedding, obviously all the the main guests, they're all in full costume, and I've got this whole party of adventurers that are my best men. My wife is stunning in her full Tudor outfit, and I managed to get all of the relatives into their outfits. I basically said, "Don't buy me gifts." My outfit was from Shakespeare in Love. Ooh. And because we went to Angels and we got all of the film set costumes.
Wow!
So I was like, well, it isn't costing me much for this was 20 odd years ago. So the castles were quite cheap to hire back then, before it became easy to get married anywhere. And then suddenly their prices quadrupled overnight. But I got in there before that happened. We were the first themed wedding they'd had there at Hedingham Castle, but now they've had thousands of them there. But I'm talking to Hedingham Castle actually as one of the castles, because I'll be like, well, I had an amazing time there. But yeah, of course, the guests turned up to the wedding and I'm like, everyone's in Tudor costume. There's a medieval village. There's a falconry display. And they're like, oh my God, Gary, how much money you spent? I'm like, nothing on any of this. This is, I've got the lucky feet, I guess. I just don't know what happened. Yeah. But I've got the Matt Coulthon luck, if you will, of time reference. Yeah. But no, it was, and so I'd love to do it so that the story has like different points, anchored points across the weekend, and you can do them in different orders. But there's the beginning ones at certain points, and then there's like a couple of chromatic ones. And I basically there'll be monsters in the woods, there'll be experiences in the castles, there'll be outside in the grounds, and so it's a little bit like the D&D in the castles, but obviously what I'm doing is I'm creating like an interactive theatre experience across the entire site.
It's probably worth speaking to the events team at Elvis and Castle, because they're looking for other uses for the castle grounds and the castle itself. Now, you can't go upstairs because it's still being renovated, but the ground floor is gorgeous. It really is a thing of beauty.
Have you ever been to Kumabi in Coventry?
No.
Right, so I got married in Kumabi. It's like a old sort of fortified monastery with a moat. It's absolutely stunning, and they do sort of medieval banquets and stuff there. That's how I found out about it, because I went down there a couple of times to do a medieval banquet. You get dressed up. You have all the food. They have like all this like medieval music and stuff. It's amazing. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. I didn't go as far as to have all my guests sort of get dressed up. I was so close to trying to do it, man. I was like that, but like I was thinking about it. I was thinking when we do our final session for our campaign, I was like, I could maybe get it in Kumabi, get everybody down, get them dressed up, do the banquet, and then sort of kind of get the game and stuff. But you should talk to them, because it's an amazing place, man. It like some of the rooms are just outstanding. Has so much sort of kind of old sort of like the decor and stuff, quality. Worth it.
Quick question is from an insurance perspective, because when I've been assessing your the vampire LARP, is would Life Size D&D from an insurance perspective be considered a LARP? Because that adds, as I understand it, a distinct premium to any event.
I don't think so, because it's non-contact. It's performative, isn't it? You're the audience, and you're the closest you get into contact is you're rolling dice. Whereas with LARPing, you're like,
yeah, absolutely.
Throwing javelins at each other and casting spells or whatever.
Especially when you act like a historic building which has a listed status, and they get very twitchy when, oh, are you swinging that around? Are you? Well, that's going to be an extra for numbers.
I think there's there's definitely some navigating and some negotiating to explain it and say this isn't LARPing. There are LARP elements because you're in costume and you're walking around and you're playing your character real sized, but what you're not doing is you're not in real time combat. You're in turn based. It's turn based on contact. That's critically different to LARPing.
It's much more structured and controlled environment.
Yeah, and the players like it, and the DMs like GMs like it as well, because obviously LARPing can be, it's just another whole world. It is great. It's great. It really is great. And and I know that lots of people have wanted to do life-size style Dungeons and Dragons. The only reason that it worked well for me is because obviously I have a commercial business based around events and experiences, so I was able to just this is my passion project and throw it in. But it sounds like there's a good few opportunities. I'd love to do that, because at the moment we're a third-party content at other people's events. Yeah, even though one of those events is my own event as well, my gaming festival. It's obviously that gaming festival also has robot wars and wrestling and gaming tournaments and all sorts of things. Lots, massive amounts of content. Of which the Life Size D&D is but one of many.
What's the festival called? Sorry.
That's Rapture Gaming Festival. The next one's in Colchester in August. But so we have hundreds of gaming stations. We have all the military stuff there. We have robot wars. We have like 36 teams competing. They're building their robots and smashing them up in the arena against each other. We've got full wrestling. We've got cosplay competitions where you win loads of money and get 3D printers and all sorts of stuff. And there's a whole games development side of it as well. The one we were doing at Medway was like 80 acres of content in the historic Dockyard Chatham. We were getting around about 8,000 attendees, so it's a moderate sized event. Probably not going to get that. I hope we don't get that many in Colchester, because I don't know if the venue's going to cope with it, because we just expanded the venue into a load of outside spaces. But I'll be bringing some of my fleet there. I'll have my entire military complex there, so I've got like one of
your entire military complex.
Yeah, you've got to have a fob, man. You've got to have a fob when you're going anywhere.
what is exactly the entire military complex?
Oh, sorry. Basically, I've got a central mobile engagement capability, which is this double-decker bus, which has like Starlink and massive battery arrays and loads of esports and 2 production studios on it, and engagement zones. Then it's got these massive race awnings, and then outside of that I deploy like BATAC and other military assets. Often we have like tanks and stuff coming alongside it.
You do?
Yeah. Well, we were touring with the Ajax last year, so if you went to Insomnia Gaming Festival, you would have seen the Ajax there when we launched that there, and we also had like the tank simulator there and VR experiences. Anyway, loads of stuff. We have a load of experiences which we deploy for the military, and we'll be deploying all of them at that show. It sounds more Ponzi than it is, really.
What is the Ajax exactly?
Ajax. Oh, sorry. The Ajax is their new APC.
Yeah.
It's a mini tank. I'm not a military person, but
that's big. I've just googled it. That's very big.
Yeah, it's beautiful as well. If you're into that sort of thing. I mean, I'm a big supporter of all that sort of stuff. The insurance policy that is the military and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. The pulling in on the peace dividend after so many years is getting too difficult now. And I could go on, but I'm going to pull it back to Life Size Dungeons and Dragons. So we have it at third-party events, but I would love to do dedicated events, trying to keep the costs reasonable. To hiring the venue, obviously having all the actors and creating up new story. But imagine being able to go for 2 days and it's like a continuous exploration. Because I know whenever the players do it, often at events, they'll try and come back and do the experience again, but then maybe they'll make a different decision or they'll go in a different way. Last time we allied ourselves with the orc faction and we did this, but next time we want to go straight in for the undead, or it's a different. We have loads of different stories, because the last story was actually a 2-year story for Life Size DnD that culminated with the big raid battle against the ogre boss, Og. And that was awesome. So we concluded this 2-year story at MCM in November. I think it was October, November. And we had this 3-meter high ogre that you had to battle. And so many of the parties were just dying. It was a tough, there was a couple of TPKs. But it was a tough ask. But it was supposed to be this big culmination, because the whole thing started when they were trying to get to this druid's temple to find this MacGuffin to free the village, because there was a goblin horde coming in, but it was actually all part of this Og's plan. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but anyway, it was nice to see a kind of like meta story across all of these different adventures, these different venues, because what we did was we even created little magic items that people could keep. So there was a set of rings, and each one was had a different power, and each of the different events we would literally hide them around the site. There was a few at Sci-Fi Weekender, but no one found them. There were false life rings. Basically, it was a thing to give you a past death saving throw, which we don't do death saving throws in the Life Size DnD because we have to keep it fast and light. But this one allows you to pop back up with 1 hit point. But there was different ones. There was healing ones. There was AC buff ones. But it was great to have those. And then we'd come to some events, and then people would turn up and they'd have like 3 rings on them or something from previous stories, and they'd be coming to take part in the next part of the story. And I thought, this is great. This is great, because there's some journey here, even though it's a 30-minute experience at an event, and they're there to see famous people and buy stuff from traders or whatever it is they're doing at the Comic-Con. And but they're also getting this tiny little snippet of a campaign, sort of loosely aligned into a story board that concludes. And now that's why we're starting a new one this year, this Egyptian themed one as well. So we have also others. We have like the Medusa's ones. The Heist was a popular one.
Oh, okay.
The Heist was great. I love the Heist. There was 2 teams. Basically, they start at the same time, but there's one massive treasure hoard, and the winners were the team that got to the end, had the most treasure, or total party killed the other team. Because at some point they meet up, and then you end up with this, you're fighting monsters, but then you're also potentially fighting each other. And sometimes they teamed up, and sometimes they went against each other. Sometimes they did all sorts of weirdness.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah, that's exactly, that was it. Yeah, it was a bit of Ricky Morty.
I mean, it's impressive. Like, I played it at Sci-Fi Weekender, and did it to the end. And it didn't feel like half an hour. It felt like 10 minutes, because I was just having that much fun.
I know. I wish I could do more. It's always a challenge. This is why I want to do the long form factor event.
Yeah,
because I want to be able to take it to a different level with people. We did start. There's a whole like mailing group that we started up. I haven't got the link with me, but it's had a lot of responses already. It's proving really popular. Where we've basically said to people, would you pay for a long form factor event? And they've all gone, oh yeah. I'd love to do this more, and also in like a setting where there's actually some like natural scenery mixed in with our own, fake scenery. And that there's this story over the 2 days. So that's, watch this space. I've got to try and make it work commercially, because absolutely, it's a passion project, I can't throw money away on it. I think
that's what throws up a lot of people in the creative industry, like ourselves, is I think I want to do this, but they don't think of the commercial element of like, how do I make this and not exactly make money, but how do I make this and not bankrupt myself?
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Games Expo, the big one in Birmingham.
UK Games Expo.
UK Games Expo. Yeah, they're launching their own one of this in a month or so. So they basically had something already. It was like a real size dungeon experience, but it was very much escape room.
Yeah.
it was all about the traps, and it was all about, there was no DMs, there was no dice rolling, but it had the D&D themes to it. But it was costing them a fortune, I think. And then I don't know whether they saw ours and thought, actually, there's a simpler way of doing it, making it more about dungeon masters and players. Because we were going to go to the UK Games Expo, but we're not now, because they're going to be launching their one. It's not quite the same as ours, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I hope it goes really well, because I've said to them, once they've launched it, we could both go there. There's not one play table of D&D at UK Games Expo. There's frigging hundreds. So, and there's more than enough players there for everybody. But I hope it goes really, really well, because the more the better. Ours is very much a lightweight, transportable experience that's supposed to just engage people really, really quickly. And just give them that flash of experience. So, as you said, it felt like 10 minutes. It is at least 30 minutes, I promise. But
I was just having so much fun. I wanted more. That was it.
And my GMs, they want to do more with it. But of course, it's a numbers game when you're at an event.
Absolutely,
it has to be. Because the event organizer, if they're paying, they want you to get through as many visitors as they can. And we've been trying. That's why we now have most of the stories at the big events. We have two completely separate stories with two different entrances. So we couldn't do that. It was a smaller engagement at Sci-Fi Weekender. Amazing event that it is. I think I've fallen in love with that event. We're already booked to come back next year, I think.
Oh, excellent. Will you be doing the same event, or will you be doing something different?
No, it'll be different. It's always different.
Excellent.
It's just like anything else. We have a large, we put some of the other characters around. We have a really good pool of monsters already, and different stories and stuff. And so it's, every single time we deploy, it's different. Even if we're using the same concepts, it's always going to be a different map, and it's always going to have different traps and different prizes and that sort of thing. And that's the great thing with D&D. You could literally, your monster manual could just have like 5 creatures in, and every week you could do a different session with different things. That's the beauty of it, really. There's a lot of wash and reuse, I guess. So
I think one thing I really enjoyed was like, my experience would be vastly different to everybody else's experience that played that scenario. And what I wanted to see was almost like what was everyone else's choices compared to mine.
Even the GMs are different. So Ricky's style will be different to Brandon's, different to Harry's, different to Dave's, different to we have a lot of DMs. They're all amazing, but they all have different styles. Like Dave is a theatre actor who does a bit of Dungeons and Dragons, so he is very, oh, you come into the hall, and here comes the goblin. Come on, get it, boys. And then there's others who tend to. Like Ricky's background is wrestling, so like most of those teams, that they're my employees for a range of things. This weekend they're doing Chelmsford Takeover, and they're going to be doing Game Dev London, games development conference, and my guys get involved in such a plethora of activities, but most of them are Dungeons and Dragons players. That's kind of important to me. It's not quite on the job. It's not in the job.
I was interested to know how many actually did a runner with the sword at the end, or how many returned the sword.
I don't know.
I was really interested because my argument was, well, necromancy is sin, and giving that back to the spirit would have resurrected. So no, I'm keeping this 3d6 sword and legging it.
Yeah, most of them do. Well, we normally have. So when I created the first set of experiences, there was always basically the skirmish, the churn, the conclusion is always my minimum. So the skirmish is basically, let's give everyone a little bit of a quick combat. Could we get to cut the goblins? Quite easy, but sometimes that if they're whiffing their rolls, if they're in the one crew all the time, even that can be quite tricky. But then you have the churn, which is the bit to sort of slow people down. We often have spectators casting confusion as well, quite a lot, to get players attacking each other. We didn't do that for this one. We had these factions instead, but in other sessions we'll have confusion rays, or we'll have the lizard man, the lizard shaman, Elizabeth Shaman doing it, and and we have the Ghost doing it, the Spectre. We vary it all the time, and a lot of the time it's like we set these big MacGuffins up, and it's like, well, do you want to go for the often it's the sword next to the eagle bear, owlbear. And but actually what you need to do is you need to be getting through to the crypt. It's not the same story as you did, but a lot of the time we'll have like a crypt or an end cave or something you have to get to, and that's the conclusion. What we try to do is trick the players into getting sidetracked, and then you end up with the time running out, and they have to make big decisions, and often they leave certain players behind, and there's been times where like the cave's collapsing, you've got to get out, but the sorcerer is still back trying to get the staff of power, and then they end up getting buried, and it's all these sorts of little micro decisions that you give the players opportunities to do that makes it fun. Those moral quandaries are just littered throughout the Life Size D&D. We have to make
it. But that is D&D. That is D&D at its core. Given play decisions that have onus and impact on the story.
There's a causality to it that basically just kind of shows you that you can make these decisions and you can do that, but it's going to cause this. But fitting that into 30 minutes. So, which is why I always try to do the skirmish, the churn, the conclusion. So I sort of say to the player, the DMs, GMs, Wizards of the Coast, that you try and get those three things. If you can get that beginning, it's basically beginning, middle, and end. If you can get that into whatever the story is, that's the important bit. But you can vary it. And some of the times the churn can be the apothecary. There's a shop, I can buy stuff, that's it, you lose players forever, then that's it. Oh, how many potions of healing can I buy? And it's those little core kind of pillars of the story is what we try to put into that 30 minutes. And that's why it's worked really well, because a lot of people have tried to do this sort of thing in the past, but heavily systemize it, make it, they kind of quantize it at an incredibly high fidelity, which can be great, but also incredibly complex. And it detracts from the core bit, which is human beings sharing a story with other human beings, and the other stuff is just pretty wrappers to just give a little bit of normalcy to it, and the rules that allow you to kind of make sure that it's fair, but it doesn't need to be that much. It can be just a loose framework. And that's what was important to me, to make sure Life Size D&D gave the vibe of real Dungeons and Dragons, but without.
Yeah. I mean, you have a kind of very flexible rule side approach. It kind of works well with the human element, because you can't systemize people as much as governments would like to. But that's a whole other discussion in itself. But yeah, just keeping it light. You can also adapt that scenario to suit the players, like depending on their familiarity with the game, from murder hobos to wide-eyed innocence, and you can just very kind of keeping it flexible and not having the system and not kind of relying on the system means that the story comes to the fore.
Yeah, another good thing is also because you have DMs, it means that you can put characterization into the NPCs, into the monsters, and it also means that you can actually become sided with the monsters as well. That's the sort of thing you can't do in a standard systemized battle. But when you've got a DM that's just controlling everything, or shaping everything, if the players want to try and get super friendly with the
bow chicka wah wah.
don't. We did the last Insomnia before it went bust, and they owed me a fortune. They went insolvent. We did a load of influencer slots, so we had loads of famous YouTubers, content creators coming to do it. And I swear to God, every session with content creators just turned into an orgy fest, where they were trying to bang every monster that we put before them. Someone was trying to charm them. Someone was like, oh, hey, Orc. You're looking pretty good. That's a mighty fine act.
It just reminds me of that. There's that meme that goes around about the guy who kept on rolling nat ones, and he caresses the orc's cheek, and then have you seen it where it basically caresses the orc's cheek, and he keeps on going, and then the last thing is they think I can't even remember this. I'm not going to do it justice, but basically ends up the orc and the player end up together, and it's them thinking back at their time when he caressed this orc's cheek.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, and that is the beauty of it, isn't it? It's the fact that that sort of stuff can happen. You can really let yourself go. Dungeons and Dragons is a safe space for people of all walks of life, and hopefully we've extended that into Life Size DnD as well. Hopefully,
sorry, I've got some comments in the chat, and not just trying to distract me currently, but we've got Callum, Cameron, and Oliver telling me how much they love me. I love you too, chaps. Thank you very much.
Wow.
They're just doing it because I posted. We do Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game, and I just posted a battle report recently, so they're on there. No, not paying attention to this. They're paying attention to that, but thought they'd come and distract me by putting love messages on the comments. So yeah,
they pinch you in your cheek. Like, hey Matt, how's it going?
Caress me, yeah. I see the way they look at me when we're playing games together.
I look at you, but I can't see your face.
That's why sorry. You will on the stream. You'll be able to see it. My messy, my ADHD.
That's why you don't see. That's why you don't see Matt on our side, because he's just constantly caressing his own face. Like, very nice.
Instead of a camera, he's got a mirror.
Yeah, that's it. There's no camera there. It's just a mirror. He's like, I look good.
Boy, I look good.
the man Matt.
It's like Dick Solomon from Third Rock from the Start. He just goes every now and again, goes, I'm gorgeous.
Wow, that's a reference and a half, man. I used to love that.
I love that show so much.
I used to love that, man. Yeah.
So what you got coming up, Gary?
What have we got coming up? Well, I mean, I think the next big one for Life Size DnD is going to be MCM in May.
Right.
That's about 30 days away, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing some of the smaller Comic Cons with it, but we found that didn't work so well. It just became really hard to, the really small Comic Cons, like those little local ones you get literally everywhere. We tried to create a package, and the more and more we compressed it down, the more and more it compromised the experience to the point where we were doing these 15-minute ones. So it was a bit, well, 15-minute ones are quite good. You go in, fight against the Medusa, try not to get turned to stone, and out. That worked quite well because it was like literally there's no big long choices for them to do. Yes, the next big one's MCM in May. The one I'm really looking forward to is going to be the Rapture Gaming Festival one in August, because that's the one where we're going to probably do our biggest implementation ever so far, because it's my event and I just want to go bigger and better. I was frustrated actually because we were going to do it in Midway this year, but unfortunately there were some venue problems with the ceiling flooding water all over my stuff, and I lost 20 grand's worth of tech equipment last year when the hoppers flooded water inside. Anyway, let's not talk about that. I'm still scarred. But we were going to do it this year in an interactive museum they have on site, which has got all of this medieval village stuff in it already. Well, it's actually like a Tudor village, but we'll call it medieval. But they have all these like projector screens where they have like different parts of the story, and we were starting to create like these like projector experiences that would then interact as you walk through it. And I was like, this is going to be the best Life Size Dungeons and Dragons ever. Anyway, it didn't happen. I'll be thinking about it for the future. That's our next big Life Size DnD one. They've got a few smaller events that we're doing it with, like Norcon's quite close to Sci-Fi Weekend, and we do it there. We do it at some of the UK gaming and Comic-Con festivals across the UK as well. We might be doing it at Anime Con at Birmingham NEC as well. I need to confirm. We do a lot of stuff with them. We do all their gaming zones and stuff as well.
Okay.
That's the big UK gaming con, not the Anime League one. Very different show. The very similar sounding name. It does get confusing. The Anime League ones tend to be smaller hotel-based events. Anime Con UK is at the NEC and is 3 days, 40,000 thousand, well, supposedly 40,000 people this year. Hope so.
The events need very specific requirements in order to host Life Size D&D?
Just the space.
Just the space.
We don't even need power. So we do it with power because we've got the sound and the lighting, but we've actually got lighting and sound that doesn't need any power. So because of the battery powers, they last 12 hours. So we just run them through the day and then charge them overnight. So it could be literally in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere, to be honest with you. because the main setup is in 3 very, very large, well, not very large, moderate size marquees. They're instant ones, but they're flipping brilliant. And we have like outside spaces and indoor spaces. We have it kind of refined to a T, so that we can then attach the dragon arches to it using trussing and stuff. We have this model that allows us to just deploy it anywhere. We were talking with a couple of publishers actually about doing themed one for game launches. I won't say who they are because of NDAs, but that might come to fruition this year, which would be quite cool. We were talking about even doing a Minecraft one, like just getting Minecraft monsters and creating Minecraft PCs and doing it, and just exploring different ways of making it fun and interesting. But we always fall back on the fact that everyone just loves it like it is. Let's just create new stories, and this format works beautifully. Let's just keep, let's create more scenery, let's create more special effects, let's create more traps, let's create more monsters, so I always try to feed a portion of that of the resources that come from it back into it to just keep evolving the story. So but yeah, to answer your question, we don't need a lot. Just space.
You just need the space more than anything else.
Just space.
And but again, especially those smaller events where space is a premium, that becomes a constraint for you.
Yeah, it does. And we weren't quite sure how we were going to do it Sci-Fi Weekender. And because normally we use the marquees and it acts as our anchor points for everything. But we were able to use a lot of pipe and drape in the games room, and we made it work. And it ended up with some narrow spaces that meant that we had to pull stuff out of the way for wheelchairs. Normally our wheelchair access is phenomenal. But because we had to compress it into that smaller space for Sci-Fi Weekender, we did have to, there wasn't tight bits, it wasn't as inclusive as I would like. It was, we just made it work. We just pulled things out of the way. But I do like it when we have the full-size marquees up, because we can actually
you have a proper space, dedicated space, don't you?
It's actually quicker and easier to do it that way than it was the way we did it for Sci-Fi Weekend, which took us a day and a half to set it up. Rather than a day to set it out normally. You got any other questions?
No, I think it's been very categorical.
That's it.
Well, that's actually quite a good segue to our next section before we finish. We have Jonjo Cosgrove with his final segment. We have. Have you got any news? Or are you just going to do the quiz?
I've got one bit of news that I was going to actually share. So just today, for people that are fans of the MCU, tickets have gone on sale for the Thunderbolts film, which I think is still hitting people sort of on a 50-50, whether or not they actually want to watch it. There's people that have sort of like tapped out of the film side, or just just a little bit exhausted, or just waiting for whatever's going to happen with the next Avengers. But since we actually last spoke, Marvel done the big reveal, didn't they, of who's actually going to be in Avengers Doomsday? Well, yeah, they announced 26 names, but there's going to be more. All I was going to say is, I'm sure you've all probably seen who got announced, but out of the names that were pulled out from them chairs, which of them castings would you say was probably the most surprising for you?
Kelsey Grammer, having him as Beast and stuff, and having what's his name? He played oh my god, Scottish actor
Alan Cummins.
Yeah, Alan Cummins.
Yes, that was the one for me. That was the most shocking, because I would not have thought in a million years he would have been brought back. But
yeah, it was a bit weird, but that'll be Night Stalker. Didn't he play Night Stalker?
He was.
Yeah, Night Stalker.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yeah, I got correct.
Yeah. But yeah, some very good cut. That one for me in particular, I think was the most surprising. But also, one I was very happy to see was Channing Tatum is coming back as Gambit.
Yes, exciting. Yeah, that'll be good, man. That'll be good. Yeah.
Not going to understand the word he says, but it's going to be fun. So yeah, just saying about like the MCU. So Thunderbolts tickets gone on sale. They did bring out a last trailer, which I hate it when Marvel they always seem to do okay with the teasing, and then that final trailer sort of gives you a bit too much.
It really annoys me when they go over the top with trailers and they give you sort of major spoilers and stuff. It just
Yeah, but I think my main thing is I can't wait to see Sentry on the big screen, because that is one of my favourite of the newer line of Marvel characters. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yes, so we'll go from that to our I was just about to say annual. Fucking hell, it's been a long night.
A
regular quiz,
bi-monthly,
a bi-monthly quiz. So
Do you need
Matt,
me anymore?
yes, you do.
Yeah.
No, Gary, you're in this.
Anywhere.
You're in this.
Well, what do you need me to do?
You're in
So
this.
all I'm going to say is, Matt, you are on reserve for the minute. We will get to your questions shortly.
Okay. So basically, we just a bit of information for the guest. We Jonjo runs a pub quiz in his spare time, and
I'm terrible at quizzes.
So we basically have a very, and it's not overly taxing on the nerdy cranium, but he'll do a sort of kind of 3 multiple choice quiz for. You get to choose the subject, and then he gives you 3 questions, and the person with the most answers right gains bragging rights for eternity, or until they're next on, I guess.
Until the next episode.
So he'll have one for you can choose from. He has a special one for me because I beat him last week. Or last time, which he will not.
Because the first time ever we done a head-to-head, and it really annoyed me because the one question I didn't get was from one of my favourite ever shows. And it really annoyed me that I got every other question he gave me apart from that one.
But anyway, carry on for a guest.
Okay, so Gary, as you are a guest, you shall get to pick first. So the rounds are that obviously it is geeky, so there is a few differences. So you've got Shaun of the Dead.
You can choose one of these, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead. Right.
Shaun of the Dead. The films of Kevin Smith, Metal Gear Solid, or Highlander.
The middle 2 are completely out for me. I don't know anything about either of those 2. Highlander.
Oh, just so you know, it is all from the first Highlander film.
You've got to have seen the first Highlander film.
Helps.
Honestly,
there's only one Highlander film.
Well, no, there's one Highlander film. Then there was another one. Then there was another one, and then there was another one. The series was good.
I think Matt mentioned the problem with having ADHD is your brain doesn't retain anything.
Oh yeah, big time.
I use what I need to use, and I just throw it out there. I mean, I could barely tell you what my kids' names are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like, wait, what? Yeah, I mean, when I was at uni, I passed my degree by just studying the night before.
Oh, me too. Yeah, exactly.
Physics degree. Oh yeah, sure. Let me just.
I did a military history degree, and I had a year to do a 14,500 word dissertation, which I did in 3 days, and did nothing for that. So it was just ADHD for you. I've got plenty of time. Oh my god, I've got 3 days to do 14 hours.
No knowledge retention. I mean, I've already forgotten what the options were. It was Shaun of the Dead, wasn't it? Or it was the Highlander.
Shaun of the Dead, Highlander, Kevin Smith films, and Metal Gear Solid.
I mean, Kevin Smith films are pretty good, but I don't really remember them very much. Well, let's go Shaun of the Dead. I've watched more recently than I have anything else.
So, do you know what? I can't even tell you how many times I've watched this film. Okay, so here we go, Gary.
The
question number.
Milkshake films, isn't it? Yeah.
It's such good. No matter how many times I watch it, I still laugh all the way through. Okay, so question number 1. What is the name of the pub that becomes the safe haven for the team?
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, that's going to annoy me now as well, because I was just watching something recently where they went to go there.
Yeah. And they did the COVID thing there as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did as well.
They did that flipping. Let's go down there for the quick point.
Yeah. Down
the lion.
No, the Winchester.
Yeah,
Winchester. Oh,
yeah.
I tell you, I'm no good at this. Honestly, these random subjects.
Okay, question number 2. What 2 methods are given by the news on how to defeat the zombies? So, what 2 methods are given by the news?
This is unfair. I haven't seen this film in a long time. I've seen Highlander even. I mean, that was like the 80s. I thought last saw Highlander.
He's better, Gary. He has to give multiple choices now. He's just fitting you with questions. You're being mean.
Well, shotgun to the head. Ask them nicely not to eat you.
I mean, technically, destroy the brain, I guess, is one. By the shotgun to the head. What else could you do to the head? Give you a clue. What happens in Highlander to activate the
decapitation?
Yes, remove the head.
Remove the head.
Remove the head or destroy the brain.
Not tie him up in the shed playing a PlayStation. Then.
Yeah.
Player 2 has entered the game.
Yeah.
Oh god. All right. Question number 3. What Queen song is played during the pub fight scene?
Well, if I just choose a random Queen song, so Don't Stop Me Now?
It is Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah.
So technically that is 2 out of 3. So there we go. So Pete, your choices. Kevin Smith films, Highlander. Okay, fair enough. Oh, okay, so question number 1. In which film does the line "My girlfriend sucks 37 dicks" appear?
No!
Clerks.
I said that in I was in Poppolino's in Manchester, and my girlfriend at the time was really annoying me. So I just stood up and went, "My girlfriend sucked 36 dicks," and the guy behind the curtain went, "In a row."
Oh, I was just about to say, I really hope someone retaliated. So Pete, that is 1. Right, number 2. What 2 actors play fallen angels Bartleby and Loki in Dogma?
Matt Damon and Ben, what's his name?
Affleck.
Who played Batman?
Yep, I'll give you that. Ben Affleck.
Thank you, yes.
There's no other Bens I can think of that played Batman, so I had to give you that. Okay, so that's 2. And number 3. What are the names of the comic? What are the names of the comic book characters modelled after Jay and Silent Bob?
Oh, I've not seen that film actually, so I can't answer it.
These characters do appear in like several films.
Think about what they smoke, Pete.
Spliff and dope.
Blunt man and chronic, yo.
Spliff and dope actually don't sound too bad though.
Blunt man and chronic.
Yeah, blunt man and chronic. So that is 2 out of 3, Pete. Right. So in my act of revenge against Matt.
Ah, come on, man. Mine wasn't that hard.
So you make it super hard for Matt. Gotcha.
Anyway, I like to think I have, but I guarantee this is going to probably be 3 out of 3 for him.
No.
So Matt, and this is how much I've really tried to do this for you. I've done a round on Warhammer 40k for you.
Okay.
For the Emperor.
For the Emperor. Is it more specifically Horus Heresy? Because that's where my expertise is. My 40k lore knowledge is questionable. Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I don't fucking know. I just took these questions off the internet and I hope it works.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Question number 1. Which fortified world of the Imperium watches over the Eye of Terror?
Idiot.
Fucking hell. I knew
Cadia doesn't exist anymore.
He's going to know this.
Cadia got like blown up, and in the last, it sort of doesn't exist anymore. But Cadia stands. Cadia stands.
I knew it. This is going to be sort of like if I asked you to do me a quiz on like Marvel or Doctor Who. This is going to just.
I did one on the thing that you liked the most. And I gave you the question that you got wrong was all a part of the same sentence as well.
Yes, I knew. Anyway, question number 2. What is tactical dreadnought armor also known as?
Terminator armor.
Fuck, I actually wrote down multiple choice questions.
I've known that one.
Yeah.
I actually wrote down multiple choice. Anyway, this has really gone and backfired on me. Okay, question number 3. Which orc clan is known for a love of speed? I have got multiple choice if you want them.
Yeah, go and give me the multiple choice.
So you can have either the Evil Sons, the Snake Bites, or the Blood Axes.
It's not the Blood Axes. Oh, is it the Evil Sons then?
Word.
Blood Axes are close combat. Wah. What were the blood axes?
So evil sons, snake bites, blood axes.
Snake bites or blood or evil sons. I'm going. Part of me has this because the snake bites. I'm going to go for the evil sons.
He's got it right.
Yeah, get it.
3 out of 3.
And those were 40k questions, which is.
And they were.
My...
But the thing is that I don't know if about 40k. So for all I know, that could have been the freeziest questions. That might have just been, like the equivalent of someone saying, in the Bible, who are the sons
and Terminator
of
armor are pretty sort of basic ones and stuff. The Speed Freaks one was kind of harder.
Yeah, that got me. And I should know. I've got a massive orc army. I should really have known that.
So I win again, then, gentlemen.
You do win again.
Yeah, 2 for 2, baby.
God,
I told you, Jonjo. I'm taking over your patch. It's going to be me. It's going to be me doing the pub quizzes around your way.
That's going to be a long commute for you if you want to come down and do my quiz. I can't do rounds like this at my quiz because people will just not turn up if I start doing these sort of rounds. Oh, God.
Cool. Right. Well, thank you very much. For me, I've been the pub master. Quiz champion Matt Gary. With me tonight have been my co-hosts Peter A. Allison.
Good night, everyone.
And Jonjo Cosgrove.
Take care, everyone.
And Gary. I didn't get your second name. What's your second name before I finish up?
Kirby!
Gary Curby, yeah. and our special guest tonight, Gary Curby.
I actually thought you just forgot about Gary's like, Gary, you're on the screen.
No, I was not. It's just like, usually if I forget the ADHD thing, it's like, if I forget a second name, that's okay, I'll check the name.
And there's Gary.
It just says Gary Fraggers, and I'm like, that is not his second name.
I should have put my name down. Soz. Noob.
Do you know what, that would have been great though if you just went, and that was Gary Fraggers.
And this is Gary Fraggers.
Would that be a cooler name than Kirby, I suppose? Well.
Kirby's not that bad.
I know, what's the... oh, God, who am I thinking?
You have to say it as Kirby!
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 Kirby goes bananas.
It's a great character in Smash Bro.
Oh, yes,
I was just about to say, not Street Fighter. No,
no Super Smash Bro.
Oh, yes.
But, there's loads of great Kirby games. He's a great character.
There you go. Anyway, Gary Curby, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.